everyone, welcome back to my channel So Little Time, and my name is Karen. So welcome back to another episode of Sew What's New, my crafting and sewing update. It feels like it was absolutely ages ago that I did this style of video, but I think it was only about 2.5 weeks ago if I recall, and I did actually have to watch the video back to remember what I was speaking about. So I think I left you where I was due to go on our anniversary meal, myself and my husband. We've been married 11 years. So we had a child-free evening and my parents looked after the boys, and we went out for a nice meal and some drinks at a pub which is fairly local to us. So we walked across the fields as it turned out to be a really glorious sunny day. So that was really nice. And then we walked back into the village and had a few more drinks at a local pub, and then came back home and listened to some music and had a bit of a dance about and a sing-song. So that was really, really nice. So thank you everybody for wishing us a happy anniversary. It was just a really nice child-free evening. And then we picked up the boys the following day around lunchtime. So we actually went out for a breakfast as well, which was really, really nice. We just walked down to the other village local to us and had a really nice breakfast in one of the cafes, which is just opposite Bradgate Park. So that was really, really nice. So since I last spoke to you then, I haven't been doing that much sewing, but I do have just a few bits and bobs to show you today. I've been wearing my Sew Over It Marguerite dress, which I'm wearing now, so much more since I've dyed it, and I absolutely love this colourway. I know a few of you said it doesn't look very much like an emerald green colour, which I agree. It is more of a teal colour, but I'm really, really happy with the finished result. And I've got it on today with this Raggy brooch, which I bought from Jayne at the Dressmakers closet. She has these on her website in different styles. I think she just uses leftover fabric that she's got and makes them up and sells them. So I'll put that link in the description box below for you. Yeah, I really like how this is a very like autumnal colour, and it pairs really nicely with my dress. So as I've been wearing it quite a lot recently, I've been wanting to obviously see it through into the autumn months. So I did purchase some new boots to wear with it, and I've got these off the app Vinted. So they're just a pair of grey suede boots with quite a chunky sort of heel, but I really like how these look with this dress as they sort of just come up to just above the ankle. And they're just really, really nice. They were originally from Primark, but they're actually really good quality, and they're really, really comfortable as well, which is really nice. So they're going to be great for walking on the school run with the boys. So yeah, just got those off that app. I mean, I've been using Vinted app for a little while now, and it's a bit hit and miss. I used to use eBay quite regularly, but with Vinted, I just find that the prices are a lot better on there. There's a lot of availability of different items and stuff, but I have to say that the people that are selling aren't that reliable. I've had a few cancellations and I've had to get refunds and stuff like that. So it is a little bit hit and miss, I will say that. So with regards to my sewing then, I have finally finished my Camden Pinafore, the Nina Lee Camden Pinafore. And it has been a laborious sewing process, I have to say. I haven't really enjoyed the process of sewing it up. It has been taken me quite a long time to do it. I'm very overdue with my blog for the Minerva ambassador sort of club, as it were. But I've got it here finished to show you. And I've literally just finished hemming it today. So I really, really do like the finished garment itself, and I posted a picture of this on my Instagram, and it is now my most liked make on my Instagram page. And it's funny really because I didn't expect it to be, but I think probably a lot of people do follow that hashtag for the Camden Pinafore, so a lot of people would have perhaps seen it even if they're not following me. Yeah, and it's my most liked make, and it's overtaken my So Different long line jacket, which was the one that was liked the most before that. And I really like the colour of this denim, and a lot of people did compliment the denim colour actually, because it is quite different. Really, really nice. And I have sewn it. I don't want to sort of blow my own trumpet, but I do feel like I've sewn it really, really well. I've managed to get the princess seams to be fairly flat. So they were quite tricky to get in, so that did take quite a long time, and I had to use the steam on my iron quite a lot along with my pressing ham, so that really did help. Now it's a fully lined pinafore dress, and I have used an invisible zip, but it is in this purple sort of colourway, but it is completely invisible on the back. So you have princess seams over the back as well, but they were a lot more easy to insert because there wasn't really any easing in as much as there were for the bust. It's got a lovely deep waistband and then these lovely pockets on the front, which if you recall, I did initially top stitch with silver top stitching thread, but I took that out because obviously there's no top stitching anywhere else on this pinafore and it just looked really odd having these very visible stitch lines just on the pockets. So I took those out and I just literally re-sewed the pockets back on using the same colour thread as the fabric. So I much prefer how that is looking. It's got a seam line down the front of the skirt and also down the back because obviously you've got the invisible zip. And like I say, it's fully lined and I've just used a black acetate lining, if I can show you, just here. And then I have hemmed the bottom of both the lining and the dress itself with some spotty bias binding, which I made myself with some fabric that I bought from Dunelm. And it's just a cotton poplin fabric that I made into bias binding. So I've just hemmed that on both there. You can see it's on the lining as well. I will turn the dress inside out, but before I do that, what I will say is, unfortunately, I cut this out when it was before lockdown, I believe, and then I didn't actually end up sewing it for quite a long time. So unfortunately, this dress is actually a little bit too small for me at the moment. So I am trying to slim into it. I'm hoping to be in it by Christmas, as I've been doing a lot better with my healthy eating and I've been running quite a lot because I've been training for the Leicester Half Marathon, which is only 3.5 weeks away now. So I'm hoping to be in it by Christmas, fingers crossed, because it's really annoying to obviously put all this effort into sewing it and I can't even wear it. It's just a little bit tight to do up basically from the waist up. I even let out the seams to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on all the seams of the skirt instead of 5/8, but I left the top as it were because I just didn't want to unpick those seams again to change the seam allowance on that. But it still is a little bit snug, unfortunately. So hopefully in the future you will see me wearing this, I hope. Otherwise I perhaps will consider selling it if I can't get in it, which will be an awful shame because I really do like this pinafore dress and I really like the colour of it, and I've got tops that will go underneath it really nicely as well. So invisible zip then all the way down the back, and I just used a purple one so you can just see the purple pulley at the top. And then I've lined the pockets with the same spotty fabric which I've done for the bias binding. And then I'll turn the dress inside out so you can see inside. Right, so this is the inside then. So you can see I've used the black acetate lining and then I've used the polka dot fabric for the inner waistband. And then if I turn it around, you'll see the lovely purple zip. And I think that's gone in fairly well. Usually what you would do is hand sew the lining to the zip tape on the inside, but because it was quite a long zip, I didn't want to do that. So what I actually did was on the front of the fabric, well on the reverse, you know, I just top stitched down literally the edge of the zip just to catch that lining on the inside. And I think that's, it's gone in fairly neatly actually, which I'm really pleased with it. And when I do it up, it doesn't catch any of the fabric, even though I can't physically wear it at the minute. It doesn't catch the fabric when I do the zip up. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how the dress has turned out itself. I just really hope that I will be in it at some point this year. So I'm going to be writing up the blog post and putting that on the Minerva profile page for myself. So if you did want to check that out, I will put the link in the description box below for you. So next up, I've been doing my free motion machine embroidery as part of the Poppy Treffry Autumn Embroidery Club. We're now 2 weeks into it, but I am a little bit behind, so I've only done the first week's project so far. So before I show you what I've made, I actually did take the opportunity to film myself doing the free motion machine embroidery on my sewing machine, as I know I've been promising a video of how I do it, so I thought it would be great to do that now. So what I'll do before I show you what I've made, I'll insert the footage of me actually doing the process of making up the project. So I'll insert that video now. Okay, so I'm just about to start my first embroidery project for the Poppy Treffry Autumn Embroidery Club, and I thought it would be the ideal time to show you how I do my free motion machine embroidery on my standard sewing machine. Now, I do have an old Singer machine which was gifted to me by a friend a long time ago, and that is a really good machine for doing this style of embroidery. However, because it's such a hefty machine and I've got it stored away upstairs, I am just going to be using my standard sewing machine today, and I thought that would be more beneficial for you as I'm pretty sure that that is the type of machine that you will be using on a regular basis. So the one I'm using is just a computerized Janome sewing machine, just my standard sewing machine that I use on a regular basis also. So when I do show you the embroidery that I'm going to be doing, I will probably put some music over the top because my foot tends to be a bit squeaky, so it can be a little bit annoying. So first of all, you need to make sure that you've got the correct coloured thread in your machine that you're going to be using for your project. So today I'm going to be stitching a bee. So I've already put it onto my backing fabric. Now this is just a standard cotton fabric that I'm using, and I have sort of made those stick onto the fabric using Bondaweb, and this is the Bondaweb that I use. Now I've just bought this from Dunelm. You can get it in most haberdashery shops. Yeah, and you just basically iron that onto the reverse of your applique design, and then peel the backing paper off, and then you fuse that onto the fabric so that it sticks on there. And I prefer doing that method because it means that the pieces will stay in place as you sew, and also it does reduce the amount of fraying that happens around the edge of the applique as well, and I just prefer that. I mean, some people might think it's cheating, but I don't really care. So I've got in my machine a black bobbin thread and a black thread on the top as well. Sometimes you can use navy on the top just to give it a bit of a lighter colour, but I don't actually have any navy, so I'm going to go with black on the top and the bottom. You need to make sure that your feed dogs are down. If you don't know what I mean by that, it's the little teeth on the top of your sewing plate, which grips the fabric as it's, you know, as you're sewing, it moves it along, and you don't want to do that because you're going to be moving the fabric yourself. So you need to make sure they're down. So you need to find on your machine the little switch or lever that makes sure it's down. So I'm going to do that on mine now. And mine's just a little lever that I just push. It's basically at the back of the sewing machine when I take off the little foot plate thing. And then you also need to make sure that you've got a darning foot or an open toe foot, some are referred to. Now this is the one for my machine, and that's what it looks like. As you can see, it's got this open toe section here. It just enables you to see where you're going with that. And then it's also got this spring here, which as you're sewing, it moves up and down, and it just makes it able to move somehow. So I'm going to attach that onto my machine, and then I'll set the camera up so you are able to see what I'm doing. So for this one then, it's just a really simple design. I've just literally cut out a circle and two sort of wings on there, and I'm going to be going over that with my stitching, which will ensure that it stays in place, and you'll see the detail it will give. You know, you can see that the sort of wings are showing through, but I'm not going to be too worried about that. If you didn't want things showing through so much like that, you could back it with a little bit of calico fabric before putting the Bondaweb on, just to give it a little bit more sort of where it's not so light, I suppose, but I'm fine with that. Once I stitch on it, I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. So I'm going to attach my foot and then I'll come back. Some people like to hoop up their fabric just to keep it taut, and then you can sort of manoeuvre that as you sew. Sometimes I do that and sometimes I don't. It depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I just find it easier without the hoop because the throat of my machine isn't all that big. So sometimes the foot, you know, can get in the way of the edge of this, and I just find it easier that I've got a little bit more room without the hoop on there. When I use my old Singer machine, it's got a massive throat section, so you have more manoeuvrability with the hoop itself. So I do tend to use that on that one because the needle does go up and down a lot faster on that one. So it tends, I just have a bit more control over it with a hoop. But I think for this particular project, I'm not going to be using a hoop on this one. I'm just going to be using it like this and using my hands to manoeuvre the fabric around. So my feed dogs are down, I've got my darning foot on, and now I am ready to start stitching. So I'm going to move the camera so you can see it in a better position. Actually, before I get started, I just wanted to mention one more thing. I do actually set my stitch length to 0. I know you're controlling it yourself as to what the stitch length is going to be, but I just find it's easier to just have it on 0, and then I just use it as that really. Also, my machine enables me to change the speed at which I sew at, and I usually, for this type of embroidery, I usually set it around a medium sort of setting, because you don't really want to have it too slow, and I find sometimes when it's too fast, you know, it can just be a little bit out of control really. But I like to do it on a medium setting, and then what you have to do is actually have slow hands and fast needle. That's kind of how you do it. So you'll see as I get going how sort of the speed I do it. Now I will actually put some music over it when I do this embroidery because my darning foot tends to squeak quite a lot. I think it must be the spring on it that makes it squeak for some reason. So I shall put some music on it because it can be quite annoying. Right, so that's my bee done, and that's how it looks. So I'm really pleased with how that has turned out. So as you can see, I was just doing slow hands and the needle was going fairly quickly. Now you just, when you are doing this type of applique, it's nice to go around a couple of times just to give it a little bit more definition, and the wibblier the lines the better. It just looks more sort of realistic like that. It is that style of stitching. And as you can see, I did the shading as well, and you literally just do that in just small sections as you go. And then for the eye, you just sort of go round in a circle in one place. So you don't have to keep it still. You have to maneuver very slightly just to stop it knotting up underneath. But on the reverse of the fabric, usually, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it usually looks fairly neat on the reverse as well. So this particular design is actually going to be made into a badge, which you'll see at the end when I finish the first embroidery project. So that's the start of this first project for the Poppy Treffry Embroidery Club, and I'm really enjoying this one so far. So yeah, I hope that was sort of showed you how I basically do my free motion machine embroidery. As you can see, it does take practice. So it is just a case of getting some fabric, getting your machine set up and just giving it a go really. You really just need to just take your time with it. You know, I think even when I do it now, I still hold my breath as I go along. And people get their own sort of way of doing it as well. I think perhaps it would have been easier if I'd have used a hoop for that one, because I did find it quite hard to manoeuvre quite a small little piece of fabric. So next time I might hoop that up. And when you do hoop it up, just so I can show you what I mean. So you have to undo your hoop, and when you're doing normal sort of embroidery, you have the fabric across the top, don't you, and put that in the back to make it taut, whereas this is actually the reverse. So you have the one with that bit at the back, and then you put the smaller one in the middle, and basically then you can see that is going to be pulled taut when you tighten up the little screw on the other side. And then you would embroider that way, and it does give you a little bit more sort of, you are able to manoeuvre it a bit easier. But like I say, it probably would have been okay for that one if I'd have used this size hoop, because you can get different sized hoops. I have quite a variety here. I have a big one, and then I have a couple of other sort of smaller ones which I've not used yet, because they are quite nice. If you made a design like that, you could actually hoop it up, you know, and put it on the wall as a nice sort of little picture. So yeah, that's why I bought those. I think I might do some pictures in the future, but it just means then you can hold it and sort of maneuver it around a little easier. So maybe when I do my next one, I might do that for a smaller design. When I have my bigger designs, I tend to just use it like that. And sometimes if you find your hands are a little bit slippy, if you're not using a hoop, you can get these little rubber like finger things, and that enables you to move the fabric a lot easier. I think, you know, if you're somebody who used to be an admin and you used to flick paper like that, you used to get those little rubber thimbles. They're quite good for holding fabric and doing that type of thing. But I hope you got the gist of it anyway, and do go ahead and have a go yourself. It's really, really fun. It's very addictive, and I really do enjoy this style of sewing. So that is basically how I do it. I'm really sorry that my hand did get in the way occasionally, but it was just the way I was holding the fabric, and I perhaps should have moved the camera in a different angle. But in the future, I might just do a whole video all about how I do it, and actually do like a project from start to finish or something, and angle the camera appropriately. But I hope that you got the gist of basically how I do it. So I now have finished that first project, and I've got the project here to show you. So it was actually pin badges that you put on a card. So you send a card to somebody with the pin attached, and there were 4 designs. There was a lady, and then there was a blackbird, a leaf, and a bee. I went a little bit off-piste and did a few of my own designs, but I am going to be doing the ones that I didn't do at a later stage. So I have done this strawberry sort of badge and then attached it to the card. As you can see here on the back, there's like a pin. And then I've just attached this ticking fabric onto the card, and then just literally poked the badge through the card, and then you send that off to whoever you like, and they do look really nice on. Actually, I have tried the badges on. So that's my strawberry one. Then this is the bee that you saw me doing. So there he is. Yeah, I really like that. I've just done ticking fabric on all of them, just because I've got stacks of that fabric, and I didn't really have any other fabrics that went, you know, didn't clash too much really. So I just thought the ticking fabric was the best to use. Then I did another bee. So you can see there, he's just slightly smaller. As the boys have obviously requested one each as well. And then I have done a poppy. So I'm hoping to wear that in November when it is Poppy Day. I still will put obviously funds in the charity, but I won't be buying a poppy because I'll have my own, which I've made to wear. And then this was the lady, and I really did enjoy this one actually. She was a little bit more tricky because of doing the hair and stuff, and a lot more shading in there, but I really like how that's turned out. I was going to do brown hair to do it like me, but because I'd done it on like a blue backing fabric, I didn't think that you would see the brown very well, so I stuck with the blonde that they'd done as per the Poppy Treffry sort of instructions really. So those are the cards that I've done, and then the next project for week 2 is a notebook cover with sort of autumn leaves all over it, so I'm looking forward to doing that because I do have a notebook that I can cover, so I'll share that with you on my next video. And then lastly, the last little bit of sewing that I've been doing is the next collaboration that I'm doing with Angela at Devon Thread Tales, and we are doing the very popular Sagebrush top by the Friday Pattern Company. So that's this one here. I think we're probably the last people to have sewn this up, but we've both had this pattern in our stash for a while, and we have used fabric from our stash as well. Now I had this pattern as part of my Christmas present from Andrea at Beyond the Pink Door. Not from her, but from her shop, from my mum and dad. And I also purchased the fabric to go with it at the same time. So we are part way through. We've only had one Zoom sewing session, and it's actually a fairly quick make, I have to say. So we are literally at the stage where we just need to put the sleeves in and then the bias binding around the neckline and then to hem it, and it's basically done. So this is how far I have got. It's quite a busy fabric, so I don't know how much you'll be able to see of this, but you can see it's got this lovely ruffle across the front, and then at the back it will have a little opening section, and then you attach the bias binding around the neckline, and then it does it with a tie. It has very voluminous sleeves on it, as I'll show you again on this pattern. As you can see, they're quite big. Now I've gone for the full-blown sleeve, and I think Angela has slimmed hers down slightly because she didn't want it too poofy. We are again using 2 completely different fabrics. Mine is a crepe fabric, and I absolutely love it. I love the colourway of it, and also it's behaving very nicely under my sewing machine for sewing and pressing and that kind of thing. It just handles really, really well in comparison to a viscose. Crepe is like my much preferred fabric really for a drapier fabric. So I have started with making a size small across the bust area, and then I've graded out to a medium over my hips because it's quite a boxy shape, and the finished garment measurements actually are very similar. So what I mean by that is that if you look at the finished garment measurements for the bust, the waist and the hips, they're basically exactly the same. So for the small, the full bust and the waist is a 42 inch, and for the hips is 42. But because I've graded to a medium, I've gone up to a 44 inch around the hips, just because I'm between a 41 and 42, and I obviously needed that little bit of extra room around there. But it does have quite a generous hem on it, so it is quite a boxy shaped top with regards to how the finished measurements are. And there's the line drawings for you there. So it is quite straight in a box. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to having that finished. I think it will pair really nicely tucked into a skirt or trousers or jeans even, as these have got it on with jeans as well, these models. Yeah, and it's coming along really nicely. Now I've tried it on as it is, and I really do like the fit. I was a little bit worried that maybe the small might be a bit too small for me, but it is very roomy, and I didn't want it to sort of swamp me or make me look bigger than I am. So yeah, I'm really pleased that I went with the small and graded out to the medium at the hip, so I think that would be fine. So the next bit is obviously inserting the sleeves, which is going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be quite a bit of gathering. So I gathered the ruffle across the middle, and with this fabric I did have trouble gathering that actually. It just didn't want to pull. I'm surprised I didn't snap the threads when I was doing it, but yeah, it went in the end. And actually, because it took quite a bit of effort gathering it, and it was quite stiff, it actually made the gathers stay where they were. So that was quite nice, that they didn't move about. So when I sewed them, the gathers were as is, although I do think I have gathered one side slightly more than the other. But because the fabric is quite busy, you're not going to see that. Yeah, so really pleased with how that is coming along. So like I say, it's a collaboration with Angela, so you'll see our videos go up. Hopefully, I'd say by the end of this month, it should be up, because we should get it finished in the next sort of Zoom sewing session that we have. I am actually going on holiday this month. We didn't have a summer holiday this year, but we were lucky enough to have our summer holiday last year. So we managed to book exactly the same place as last year for the October half term, because our October half term falls slightly earlier than the rest of the country. So we were able to get that and we booked a lovely house in Cornwall, so I'm really looking forward to that. Typically the weather is absolutely glorious at the minute. It's quite warm for this time of year and it's really nice and dry and sunny. But we've looked at the forecast, and typically when we go away, that's when the rain is going to decide to come. So we've got waterproof trousers. I need to buy some waterproofing kind of stuff for my raincoat because it's not very waterproof anymore. So I'm getting prepared to be wearing, you know, clothing suitable for wet weather because my husband won't be like, oh, well, we won't do that. No, we'll be out in it for sure, on the beach and everything like that. So I'm going to be wearing probably jogging bottoms and, you know, not very glamorous me mates, that's for sure. But I'm really looking forward to having that week away. It's something a little bit different for us at that time of year. We've not really been away at that time of year, so it will be quite nice. So yeah, really looking forward to that. So that's all the sewing that I've been getting up to then. So moving forwards, my next projects are to finish the Sagebrush top, obviously for the collaboration. And then I need to do the Darling Ranges dress for the Felicity Fabrics blog. So that will be coming up. I know that's quite a summery make, but I think it will pair well with these lovely boots that I've got and my denim jacket or something. So I will dress it up for autumn, so don't worry about that. And then what else have I got to do? For my bobbins and buttons blog, I'm now going to be making another of the Millie dress, which was the floral dress that I made recently. I'm going to be doing a denim version of that, and then I'm going to hope to pair it with a stripy cocoa top underneath. So I'm going to be making a stripy cocoa top. I was going to be making the Jayne dress, which was the other pinafore with the pockets in the front that I've made before, but I decided that I really liked the fit of the Millie dress, and I just thought that was probably a bit more versatile for the autumn with the lovely pockets on the front. So I'm just going to do a straight denim version of that. So that's my sort of plans over the next few weeks at least, and then to continue with the Poppy Treffry Embroidery Club. So I bet you thought you got away with hearing about my rabbits, but I thought I would give you another quick update because I think last time I spoke to you, we were saying that we weren't going to be trying to put them together anymore because we just weren't having any success with it whatsoever. So my husband was preparing to build a second run. And he has actually done that now. Bless him, he spent 2 whole days doing it from scratch, from his head, and he has done a marvellous job, I have to say. I mean, if you ask him, he'll tell you different. He was absolutely sick to the back teeth of doing it, and he was just feeling that he was making a bodge job of something that was already decent, you know, but unfortunately that's what he's had to do, and I think he's done great actually. So I did take some video footage of it, but since I've done that footage, he has boarded out the actual rabbits' hutches in preparation for the winter months, so that they're not going to be any, you know, getting any chills coming up through the bottom where the trays are and stuff. So in the video he hadn't done that at that stage, but that's been done now, but I haven't taken any more footage of it since. And we have been letting them out on the grass quite a lot, so that they just go around the grass eating leaves and having a little chomp at the plants and bits and bobs and just having a nice time. But we do that separately, so they're not together, because they do still fight on the lawn as well. But it has been working out much better the way that it's done now. He also just has to do one more job actually in the hutch itself. He needs to create a little sleeping compartment, so it just shields away from the colder weather, and they'll have like straw around that section so that, you know, one who's that side can have a bit of a better sleeping area and just keep nice and warm. So I'll insert the footage that I took now. Right, so here's the original run in the old bird aviary, and at the minute there's one rabbit in there, as you can see. There's Butter, and we've got part of the lawnmower in there, which is where we've got some straw in there so they can shield from the wind and rain, and then the sort of toilet trays underneath, you know, the ramps and whatnot are all in there, and then you've got the green pipe at the back that leads into the hutch, as you can see. So at the moment Simon has got a division inside the hutch, as you can see there. See that sort of grate in the middle? So that's why one's only got access to that pipe and this run. And now he has put another, if I open it up, hold on a sec, another pipe in. So if we go inside the hutch, he's also going to get some more stuff to put down, so when it's colder they're not going to have any breeze of their bum, as it were. So there is a pipe. I don't know if you're going to see this one coming in. Hello, Radar. So there's the pipe he's got going out the back, and then that comes underneath the hutch, because this is where the sleeping compartment is, in that section there, and then it's attached to the new run that Simon has now built, which I think he's done an amazing job on. We've also put a plastic screen on here so that protects them from the wind as well, and the rain and stuff, so that you can take in and out easily. Yeah, so the run, he's done really well with this. So if I pan you back, you can see it's quite big. And then we've got a little trapdoor at the top, so you just open that to be able to get into there if you need to and clean it out and that kind of thing. And then over here we've got a little door because they do come out on the grass. So he's got a little step, and then got the ledge going up there. And then over here we've got another little trapdoor. So this one undoes here and this side as well. And he's put a little step there so the boys can climb onto that one to climb it in. You just lift the lid and this opens it up completely. So you can see that that's the run section there. It's got a little seat just here so the boys can sit on that, but he's going to make it slightly bigger because it's a little bit too small. So yeah, that's how it's kind of set up at the moment. So the next thing is he's going to split the hutch properly somehow so they have access to the bedding area, but he's still not really knowing how to do that. So yeah, here we are. There's Butter. Hey, Butt. Yeah, so that's the current setup. And he has actually also put in a much better seat now as well in that outside run section, so yeah, the boys can sit in there quite happily with the rabbits and stuff like that. So it's been working so much better, so at least we have found a solution on how we can get them to live harmoniously together without actually being together, as it were. So I do think that is probably the last update that I will bring you. So thank you ever so much for watching today. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed what you've seen, and please do subscribe if you haven't done so already. That would be lovely. Thank you ever so much, and I shall see you again very soon. Take care. Bye.